I need to tell you a story that starts in 2013 and ends with you right now deciding whether or not to vote in a runoff that most people don't even know is happening. Stay with me because this connects. 1965, the Voting Rights Act passes. People marched for this, bled for this on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, died for this. This was not a casual piece of legislation. This was survival made into law. The most important part of that law was something called pre-clearance. Certain states with a documented history of racial discrimination in voting, had to get federal approval before they could change any voting law, any of them. Polling locations, voter ID requirements, district maps, all of it had to be reviewed first. For decades, this worked as a check on the worst impulses of state legislators that had been playing games with black and brown votes since Reconstruction. And then 2013 happened. Shelby County versus Holder. The Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, said that the formula used to determine which states needed pre-clearance was outdated. And just like that, the enforcement mechanism that gave the Voting Rights Act its teeth was gone. Within 24 hours, need you to hear this. Within 24 hours of that decision, states started changing their voting laws, like they had been waiting, with a list ready to go. Polling places started closing, mostly in certain neighborhoods, you know which ones. Voter rolls got purged. I was one of them back in the day. Hundreds of thousands of people removed from registration lists, disproportionately Black and Latino voters. And then the redistricting began. Redistricting is how they move your vote without touching your ballot. Every 10 years after the census, states redraw the maps that determine which district you vote in. And without federal pre-clearance watching, those maps become a weapon. They took communities that had enough votes to elect representatives who looked like them and cared about them, and they split those communities across 3 or 4 different districts. Diluted, divided, neutralized. Your vote did not disappear. They just drew new lines around it until it did not count the same anymore. Now we're in 2026, and here is why I'm telling you this right now. The maps that were drawn after 2020 are still being fought for in courts right now. There are cases moving through the legal system in Georgia, North Carolina, Louisiana, and Alabama, states where communities have challenged those maps and said these lines were drawn to silence us. Some of these cases have won, some are still pending. And the outcome of those cases and the elections happening right now will determine what the maps look like for the next decade. The runoff elections happening in Georgia in just a few weeks in June are not a formality. They determine who controls the state legislators that will oversee the next round of redistricting. Who sits on the local courts will rule on those challenges. Who holds the offices that decide where polling places go and who gets to stay on the voter rolls. And November is about the federal level and who controls Congress, about whether there's any appetite to restore what happened in Shelby County, and whether the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, which has been introduced multiple times and blocked every single time, finally gets through. This is not abstract. This is your district, your polling place, your representation, your voice. The rights of all Americans, not just Black Americans, not just brown Americans, but everyone whose vote becomes less meaningful when maps are drawn to predetermined outcomes, are on the line in these elections. People died so you can vote in the 1965 election. People are fighting in courtrooms right now so you can vote meaningfully in 2026. The least we can do is show up. Find your runoff date. Find your polling place. Bring somebody with you. This is Uncut History because history is not over. We are still in it. Hey, this is Miss Tiffany Uncut. Share this right now with everybody you know.